Welcome to the Intercontinental GT Championship with multiple communities from across the world. Unfortunately, I just joined up so you can see the standings are kind of a bit broken right now, but we do have Riz Gons leading the way in his Callaway C7 Corvette with a time of 1:55.322 here in qualifying for the Nurburgring. As I said, I am Mike Magas. I will be running solo commentary today as my colleague Ben Davis, unfortunately, has had a technical snafu and has been ruled out for this one, but be sure to tune in next time when we will be bringing you his commentary and his thoughts and his lovely British accent that gives us a lot of legitimacy and quality control. Absent from this particular race is Byron Dirksen, whose particularly bombastic and sometimes crass style of commentary was deemed inappropriate for this particular event. I do apologize if I get names wrong during this race because there are a lot of drivers that I am not familiar with that I may mess up the names of, including really anyone that has the Portuguese or Spanish flag beside their name. That is unfortunately the problem that we will be seeing here on this particular occasion. Some quick notes. These are GT3 cars, obviously. Particularly popular is the Mercedes AMG. I'm seeing a number of those throughout the field. And that does go towards my theory that that has historically been a very, very strong car. But I am seeing a lot of Callaway C7s as well. There's a couple of older Corvettes as well, including Zero champion Paul Riccobeni, who is running in this race. ESR's representation coming from Paul Riccobeni, Travis Wallace, of course Mike Stoppnell up there in third place running one of the old school Corvettes. Carol Vega is in the field, he's a regular, of course. Ismael Montoya has been with us a couple times. Luis Hinojosa is also in the field. Eric Friesen, of course, a ESR veteran. You can see him down there in 23rd position. It will be an interesting race from that standpoint, but let's give a quick rundown of the top 10 right now. Riz Gons leads from pole from João Castanheira, Mike Stoppnell, Ronnie Ricarth, Alex Fernandez, Emerson Luciani, Nelson Sheik, Caril Vega, Diogo Solapa. I'm going to go with that as the name there. Things are, of course, still fluctuating, and Vlad Tatara show as the top 10 in my overall view. You can see that that is changing based on the spectator here, unfortunately. Hopefully that will not continue on into the race, and we will have a static positional chart at that point. We are still waiting for a couple of times to be set from Nuno Miguel and Luis Sousa, who have yet to post times and are currently still down in 27th and 28th position. Not a lot of Porsches on the grid today. That was actually a little bit of a surprise to me. I thought that would be a popular car, but it has alas not been terribly popular here in the 28 car grid. And I don't believe that there is really any Audis, despite the Audi appearing in our logo. No, I am incorrect. We're actually following an Audi right now, Nelson Sheik. We also have Emerson Luciani and Vlad Tatara in the Audis, as well as Nelson Porto and Paulo Ottoni, who are down in the order there in 20th and 21st position in the Audis. I would really like to give you more, but until we get a stable positional chart here, it's really difficult to cover qualifying. Oh, Paulo Ottoni is in one of the old school Audis. That is an R8 LMS Ultra car. The previous generation of Audi. You would not see that on the racetrack today in GT3 competition. But I do recognize that livery, the kangaroo livery, which for a long time was used in Zero Racing by Sean Mupp, a competitor that we hope to see on the grid again in the future, but has had some commitments get in the way. Ronnie McCarth coming across the line here to finish a lap. It looks pretty good, and he moves into not 5th position, but 6th position. Still very solid once things shake out. Nelson Sheik with a purple first sector, working on his second sector. This is the newer Audi, the R8 LMS without the Ultra portion. Audi Sport Team WRT, one of the more famous teams in GT racing. Very solid team. Not the most exciting liveries, if I may say so. Sorry if you hear me taking a drink of water. This will be thirsty business. He completes the second sector with a personal best, but he is now 1.175 off of pole position as he's coming around to the line. I believe actually this is a very, very short third sector that this track has, of course. And he is making his way to the line. Can he improve his position? Comes across the line. No, he does not improve. He is a bit of a bad third sector there. Lost a full half second. He is still listed in third position, though, doing quite well for himself, about 4/10 off a pole. Carlos Vega has got 2 purple sectors going here. Can he get across the line? Can he take pole for the Mercedes AMG crew? No, but he will move into P2, joining Riz Gons on the front row in his Callaway C7. Speaking of Riz Gons, he's got himself a purple first sector. He's snacking it back. Had been denied that by Carlos Vega, who had taken 2 purple sectors away from him. His second sector not quite as good, though. He's about 1/10 off of his overall pace. May still be able to better it, though, with a good third sector here. Again, third sector very short, not a lot here, but we've seen guys lose a lot of time in the third sector, even as much as a half second. So he can definitely pull it back here. No, he will not. But he will remain atop the timesheets from Carlos Vega. Wow, Castanera, Nelson Sheik, and Mike Stopmill, your top 5. Mike Stopmill, by the way, coming across the line here. He's got a personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2, but cannot pull it back in Sector 3. About 1/100th of a second there off of his overall pace. Leo Barcelos, a guy who I've had a couple of run-ins on the track with. Shout out to Leo. Good racer. Currently running in 12th position. Looking like he may improve here, though, as he's got a pretty good lap going here. About 6/10 off of pole position. Can he increase his spot in the results here? This would be a top 10 lap for sure if he can hold on to it. And indeed, he will move into the top 10, although a bit of a shoddy third sector there did not do him a tremendous amount of favors. The Porsche of Giancarlo Croci coming across the line here. The Manthey Racing Porsche, trailed by one of the Mercedes there. He's got personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. He's down in 24th position. Can he improve his status? He can, moving up into 22nd position. Pardon me, 23rd, 22nd. I'm not sure. This is unfortunately the fluctuation here. Gerardo Del Valle, the Haribo Mercedes AMG, coming across the line here. He's got personal best in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Can he do something here in Sector 3? Yes, he can. He will improve his time to 17th position there for the Mexican driver. Now we ride on board with Alex Fernandez. He's got a personal best in Sector 1, and it's a very good one. He's less than 1/10 off of pole position. Sector 2 coming around. Can he make it done? I think he's had a mistake in Sector 2, though. That's a very long Sector 2, I think. And, yeah. I think that's definitely a... Yeah, it looks like it's an invalid lap here for Alex Fernandez, and the spectator just not quite picking up on that. Well, there we go. Maybe not. He's 0.3 up, personal best in the second sector. Oh no. It's a very out of control Mercedes, unfortunately, heading into the pit lane for Alex Fernandez. We ride with the Callaway C7 of Eric Friesen, currently with a pair of personal best sectors, and comes across the line in 21st position. 22nd, pardon me. Slight improvement of his pace. Diogo Solipa with a purple first sector. Does he have a shot here at pole? Currently down in 6th place as the 3rd highest ranking Mercedes. Is the Mercedes seemingly the car to be in here? But the section comes to a close. Riz Gons will start from pole ahead of Carlos Vega, Mike Stopmill, João Castanera, Nelson Sheik, Diogo Salipa, Ronnie Ricart, Alex Fernandez, Emerson Luciani, and Leo Barcelos. That is your top 10. Bringing up the rear will be Nuno Miguel. Very heavy Corvette and Mercedes presence at the front of the grid. Other ESR racers, Paul Riccobeni down in 13th position, as well as Gerardo Del Valle down in 18th. It seems like there was no 19th on that standings, which is a bit interesting. We have a 5-minute warm-up here for the race as people put the fuel in and try to find out if they can translate a better result in the race under the high fuel circumstances than in the qualifying that we just witnessed. Riz Gons, as I said, will lead the way from pole position. Mike Stockmill in the very chrome-heavy Corvette heading out there first. That is the Corvette Z06, the older Corvette, but still very powerful. In some ways superior to the Callaway C7 that replaced it in GT3 competition. He will start from 3rd position. Behind him is, I'm not entirely sure, is that Nelson Sheik? I believe that is Nelson Sheik on the track in behind. As that is the only Audi that shows out on the track. Unfortunately, there are duplicate liveries, so it's going to be a bit difficult to tell out some of the cars here. I know I saw 2 of the same Mercedes and 2 of the same Callaway C7s earlier on in the qualifying session. Heading out on track, Karel Vega in the WeatherTech number 50 Mercedes AMG. Riley Motorsports making his way out on the track, a fine French driver. I believe he is the only Frenchman in the field here today, actually. A bit surprising around the Nurburgring here in its, I believe, GP layout. There is the pole sitter in the RWT Racing Callaway C7, Riz Gons, heading out on the track. The Callaway is a great handling car, but sometimes a bit lacking in overall grunt, but definitely Riz Gons has got it set up well today and will be the odds-on favorite to take the race win when we get to the race, starting from pole position. Though, this is Nürburgring, there is plenty of opportunities to pass here, and it will definitely take a sharp one. It won't be a track where it's as simple as take pole, win race, but he will definitely have the inside track towards getting the victory. We ride on board with Nelson Sheik, the top Audi representative here. Of course, a part of my heart will be cheering for that because I am an Audi nutball. Nelson heading into the pit lane here with about 40 seconds to go in warm-up, possibly to make some adjustments to the car. believe that is also Mike Stoppmill coming in there in the Z06. Yep. And the Audi of Nelson Porto coming into the pit lane, or Nilson Porto, in the distinctive orange, black, and white entry there of Phoenix Racing. Travis Wallace in the Callaway competition. The again, another one of the older Corvettes. That is the Z06. You see in the foreground there is the C7. You can see the differences between the newer and the older Corvette. Interesting that the older Corvette, we're seeing a lot of older cars here, actually. A lot of the older Corvettes and a couple of the older, I think we have an older Audi on the grid as well. Interesting that we are not going with would be current machinery. This will be a 60-minute race around the Nurburgring here. And we're going to see how this goes, as so many different people from across the world and a lot of different communities are clashing here. And it could lead to some interesting displays. I will turn things over to the auto director for the most part, but will also be attempting to go to different things as we go throughout the race that may be impactful to the scenario here. But we're getting ready to start here with Riz Gons will lead us from pole. One of the Mercedes AMGs a little bit late to joining the grid there, but he is there. It is going to be Riz Gons from the lead with Carl Vega, Mike Stoppmill, João Castanheira, and Nelson Sheik, your top 5. Here we go. They are off. And there's a lot of wiggling. 2 cars off the track there. One of the Mercedes and an Audi R8 are in the barrier. That's going to hurt them a bit. Riz Gons has been absolutely swallowed up, and it is Mike Stoppmill and Carol Vega who are battling for the lead, and I think it will be... Oh, Vega gets hit hard! And it is going to give the lead to Mike Stoppmill, one of the Callaway Corvettes. I believe that was Riz Gons also spinning in the background. There is carnage everywhere, and it is going to be Mike Stoppmill leading the way from Alex Hernandez, who has come from really the latter half of the second top 10 there, leading the way from João Castanheira, Diego Salipa, and Leon Barcelos, who is up from 10th place on the grid to P5 in the race. A fantastic start for Leo Barcelos. And it is Ronnie McCarth Ricard that we are running with right now. He's behind Nelson Sheik, who has, you know, it's not as bad as it could have been. Riz Gons, the pole sitter, is back down to 21st position. It looks like everybody is still running, fortunately, but there is some damage readings I'm seeing. Big damage for Travis Wallace. Hanada Mendez Alves is carrying a lot of damage, as well as Vlad Tatara. Those 3 cars will most likely have to make a pit stop or deal with a lot of problems. Paul Riccobeni up into the top 10 as we look at him in the Kissling Motorsports Chevrolet Corvette Z06, running at 8th position here ahead of Ismael Montoya and behind Hani Hikarth, who is in 7th position there in the Mercedes. We now run with Diego Salipa. I'm going to make a quick change to the spectator, and I'll be right back. There, the indentation of the drivers. It looks like maybe someone was thinking about a pit stop there. Ismael Montoya, I think, getting a little bit out of shape. Paul Riccobeni has profited off of that, and he is now battling with Hani Hikarth. Mike Stoppmill still leading the way. We are on board with Hani Hikarth as he is trying to get a run on Ismael Montoya, the Spanish driver, ahead of him in the identical Mercedes AMG. One of the Audis going for a hard run, and it's a collision. That was Paulo Otani who gets into the side of Hani Hikarth. A bit of an ill-advised move by the aging Audi R8. And Nelson Sheik is also in trouble. He is off the track, slipping out of the top 10. Mike Stoppmill, Alex Hernandez, João Castanheira. Leo Barcelos is up to 5th position, doing a fantastic job ahead of Diego Salipa. And Paul Riccobeni is coming through the grid as well into 8th position. There has been a lot of carnage in the first sector. We have pit stops from Tatara, Alves, Hugo Alexander, and Travis Wallace. Not sure why Hugo Alexander is in the pit lane. It didn't seem like he was particularly damaged. It looks like Carlos Vega has picked up some damage, but he is going to continue on in 23rd position. That may be ill-advised. In the meantime, we have Alex Hernandez at the front. Nelson Sheik looking to get past the top-end Porsche of Gianluca Croce here for the rear, or Gianclaudio, pardon me, Gianclaudio Croce for 10th position at the edge of the top 10, and behind them is a bit of an odd choice, the BMW of Marcel Frohlein. Riz Gons, who was pole sitter, is now up to 19th, 18th position. It's been a terrible race for him, though, as he got off to a bad start at the beginning of the race. And we have a drive-through penalty. Nilso Porto, ignoring slow-down warnings, will have to serve a drive-through penalty. Where is he in the running here? He is down in 17th position. Actually, one spot ahead of Rizgon, so that will be a spot that will go to Rizgon's as well. Nelson Sheik trying to find a way around Giancarlo Croce here. Battle for 10th place. Ahead of them is Gerardo Del Vea and Hani Hikarth, who's had a few wars himself there. We have seen some damage, and indeed Carlo Vega still running with some damage. We'll see if he pits this lap. In the meantime, Ismael Montoya is tucked up behind Paul Riccobeni, looking to get the Mercedes muscle past the American muscle of the Chevrolet Corvette Z06. Nelson Sheik also trying to make a way through the grid. There's a lot of good battles going on here. I'm looking to see if Vega hits the pit lane. Doesn't look like it. Nelson Sheik trying to find a way around the Porsche Croce. Giancarlo Croce, though, is holding the position in 10th position. Nelson Sheik going down the inside. Can he get the job done? He is very off the track. Wonder if that is a violation of track limits, but he will not get the position anyways. Croce defends, but I think it's only a matter of time before Nelson Sheik finds his way around. In the meantime, there is Montoya still topped up behind Paul Riccobeni in the Chevrolet Z06 Corvette. No pit stop from Carol Vega by the looks of it. That may be ill-advised. Vega, the guys who started in the front row having a really rough time here. Vega carrying damage down in 23rd place, and Riz Gons is up into 17th position. I believe we've seen the drive-through penalty of Nilson Porto get served. He is now down into 22nd position there, the Brazilian driver in the Audi. Diogo Salipa is on the tail of Leo Barcelos. He lost 4th place to Barcelos early in the race, and these two haven't seemed to be able to stay with the top 3, as it is Stoppmill, Fernandez, and Castanera getting away for a little bit there, but Salipa down the inside of Barcelos. He will take back 4th position there in the Cornely Motorsports car. Fernandez is right on the tail of Mike Stoppmill. We didn't see Fernandez show particularly well in qualifying. I think he was a low top 10. I think he started around 8th position. Doing a great job, though, in 2nd place right now in the Mercedes AMG HTTP Motorsports car. Do love that car, although there is a clone of it on the track somewhere, which is a little bit disappointing. And in fact, there it is. Ismael Montoya trying to get around another Z06, that one of the American Paul Riccobeni. As things continue on here, we are still not even a quarter of the way through. We are not even a 1/6 of the way through this race, and it has been action-packed both in good and bad ways so far. Alex Fernandez tucked up underneath the race leader, Mike Stoppmill, and in the background it is Castanera in 3rd position. And Barcelos is dueling down further down the order. Oh, someone is slipping back. It is Diego Salipa. We have a second drive-through penalty for Nilson Porto. His race has gone from bad to worse. He's been cut for speeding in the pit lane. Earlier on, he was charged with ignoring slow down warnings. And Carlo Vega is in the pit lane, most likely to repair his damaged car. I think he waited too long for that. I think he went 2 or 3 laps longer than he should have. Montoya versus Riccobeni. This is getting into a fierce fight now for 5th position, following whatever happened to Diogo Salipa, who has fallen back down the order to 8th position. Alex Fernandez still sniffing on the back end of Mike Stoppmill at the front of the pack. And behind them it is João Castanera, who is in 3rd position. Paul Riccobeni. Oh! Collision between Riccobeni and that was Ismael Montoya, who will drop down the order. He got the worst of it. Riccobeni retains 5th, but maybe seeing some kind of steward meeting off of that. Contact with the rear of the car of Ismael Montoya. Alex Fernandez still putting the pressure on. Here we have Gerardo Del Vea, who's trailing Hani Hikarth for 7th position. They are ahead of Montoya, Nelson Sheik, and Giancarlo Croce back to 11th place. And then the BMW of Marcel Frolchen, you can see in the background there, the very large car. Del Valle holding off Montoya for the time being. Back at the front, these three have made a getaway pretty strong. Stopmill, Fernandez, and Castanejera. The battle for the podium is between these three, I think. It is the Chevrolet Z06 leading two Mercedes AMGs. By the way, a solid representation for Mercedes in the top 10 right now. Second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth all belong to the German brand. We have two Z06s in the top 10, as well as one Audi R8 at the moment. Top Porsche is running in 11th place. Top BMWs in 12th. Of the new Callaway Corvettes, the top one is Luis Hinojosa, who is in 14th position there in the C7. We have a Mustang driven by Tony Santa Clara, who is in 16th place. That is the top Ford entry, and I believe that covers all the cars. It looks like we may have had a retirement from Nilson Porto. Indeed, we have. Nilson Porto has called it quits for the day after having 2 drive-through penalties. One Audi down. There are still 4 remaining in the field. We have battle here. Louis de Gomes, who we have not really seen much, speaking of Audis, is currently in a battle with Riz Gons, the pole sitter. Gons getting out of shape there as he has contact. One of the other Callaways is in the mix there as well. That is Hinojosa. And the Mustang, I can't stress this enough, the Mustang of Tony Santa Clara is in the mix in 16th position, or 15th position now. We have lost someone from the top 10. It appears to be Paul Riccobeni, who is heavily damaged. We will give a quick check-in on. Yeah, very much missing the front end is Paul Riccobeni. He is sliding back through the field down to 21st position. He needs to pit. He needs to repair the front end of that car ASAP. And it looks like a huge battle there. 3-4 wide, maybe. Jesus. Things are very, very close here. Gianluca Croce is up to 9th position. We've lost somebody else is sliding down the field. Nelson Cheek's up into 7th place, doing a fantastic job trying to identify who it may have been that has fallen back. It's Gerardo Del Valle. He has dropped back, and coming forward is Tony Santa Clara. Riz Gons moving into the top 10 as he gets by the BMW of that is Marcel Roland, who he has overtaken there. Riz Gons charging through the field. We know he's got pace. Best lap of the race so far has been a 1:56.230. by race leader Mike Stopmill. Emerson Luciani, who was another one who qualified very high, currently in a battle with Eric Friesen there over 14th position. He was, I believe, caught up in the carnage of the start of the race there and dropped back as a result. Still have not seen Paul Riccobeni come into the pit lane. I think that's ill-advised, although he has improved 1 position up into 20th position. Tony Santa Clara, a very brave option to run the Mark VDS Racing Mustang, the Ford Mustang, the only one in the field, up into 13th position, doing pretty well. It's got a lot of power. Eric Friesen on his tail, and behind him, is, I think, the danger man of this group. That's Emerson Luciani, 15th position there in the Audi R8. He is a fast man who just needs to get clear of some of the traffic. He's about 0.6 faster a lap than a lot of the guys he's battling with. Meanwhile, Hani Hickarth is on the tail of Diego Solipa. Solipa's recovered nicely from some earlier problems, and they are catching Leo Barcelos up ahead of them there in the other Mercedes, and in the background is the Audi of, that is Nelson Sheik, and then Ishmael Montoya, Giancarlo Croce, and Riz Gans rounding off the top 10 at the moment. So Croce is next up on the list for pole sitter Riz Gans to take over. It looks like Gans has indeed gotten past Croce into 9th position. But we stick with the battle between Hani Hickarth and the other Cornely Motorsports car of Diogo Solipa. Pardon me. Eric Friesen up in behind Tony Santa Clara here. Mustang versus Corvette. The Callaway C7. Oh no! Off the track and losing his front end goes Eric Friesen, so he'll be carrying some damage around. Heavy damage. He's lost the bonnet. He's lost the bumper. There's no way he cannot pit at the end of this lap. He needs to pit ASAP. But we have still seen Paul Riccobene continue with damage, so I don't know. Maybe it's not a terrible idea, but I can't imagine that the aerodynamics of that car are in any way functional with that much damage to the front end. Hugo Alexander in the pit lane. Possibly, has he retired? And it looks like we've lost a second car, the Team ACA ASP car of Hugo Alexandre, pardon me, I believe that is how that would be pronounced. Pick up back with this battle between Hickarth and Solipa, and they are catching Leo Barcelos, who's getting a little bit wiggly there in his Mercedes. So we've lost 2 cars, 26 still running. And in the meantime, Tony Santa Clara is now clear of Eric Friesen, who took out his front end. And is trying to hold off Emerson Luciani and Orlando Telhero, who is trying to come through the grid as well. Haven't seen a lot from Orlando so far. In the meantime, at the front, I'm a little bit surprised that João Castanheira is dropping back of the battle between Mike Stoffmill and Alex Fernandez. Again, Fernandez having a tremendous race. Maybe the star of the race. Didn't really seem like a guy who was going to mix it up for the podium, but he definitely is. I think the man to watch out, though, for is Riz Gans, who ran a 156.427 that last lap. That was the 3rd fastest of anyone on the track. The only ones faster were Alex Fernandez and Mike Stoffmill. So the 9th place man in the Callaway Corvette is the danger man, in my opinion. Look for him to possibly gain some more positions before the end of this race. He was the pole sitter, was the fastest man in qualifying, just had some rough time. Looks like Eric Friesen has been into the pit lane to fix his car and is back out on track in 26th position. The other guy I'd like to keep an eye on, as he just did his fastest lap of the race, is Carl Vega. He's down in 24th position, but should be a guy to possibly make some ground up. Did qualify on the front row. Paul Riccobene still out there with the damaged car, but running pretty static in 19th position. Emerson Luciani sticking it down the inside of Tony Santa Clara. They have contact. Looks like Luciani is going to get the position. I wish we'd stuck with that battle instead of going to Hani Hickarth. No disrespect, Mr. Hickarth. You're a fantastic driver. But that was where the action was. And here we go. Emerson Luciani has indeed somehow gotten past the Mustang of Tony Santa Clara after that contact. And Orlando Telhero is on their tail in the Mercedes AMG, the familiar Zack Speed colors. Can he get the job done on both of these cars? He's got the grunt to maybe rival that Mustang, hopefully, but that Mustang is a beast in a straight line. Not so great in the corners. Can he get by? By the way, Riz Gons is up another spot. He has overtaken Ishmael Montoya and is now running in 8th position. Orlando Telhero trailing Tony Santa Clara in behind, ahead of them, and slightly disappearing is Emerson Luciani. We know Luciani is very, very, very quick, and I would not be surprised to see the Audi R8 there in the pink and black colors disappear up the road and get on to trailing down the BMW of Marcel Frohlen. We have a major change for position. Hani Hickarth into the top 5, getting past Diego Solipa. Looks like Solipa has gone off the track a little bit. In fact, we missed Hickarth also taking Leo Barcelos for 4th position. So Hickarth on the charge. He is now the top Brazilian in the field. And we pick up Leo Barcelos here, trailing in the Cornley Motorsports sandwich of Hani Hickarth and Diego Solipa. Nelson Sheik, 7th. Riz Gons, 8th. So Nelson Sheik is next up on Gons' hit list. I've still not seen Paul Riccobeni pit for his damage, but still running in 19th position. Orlando Telhero still on the tail of Tony Santa Clara. See, what did Riccobeni do his last lap? His last lap was invalid. That's solid. Frohlen under pressure now from Luciani. Telhero would like to get past Tony Santa Clara ASAP. Further back, Carl Vega is actually fighting with Travis Wallace, has briefly lost the position to him. Interesting that Vega has been unable to make a great deal of progress through the field. Leo Barcelos has dropped another spot, losing out to Diego Solipa. He is down to 6th position. Still doing pretty well, qualified in 10th. Running ahead of qualifying position. Doing a good job. Emerson Luciani looking down the inside of Marcel Frohlen's BMW. Nothing on yet, but I do feel like it's only a matter of time before the BMW gives up the spot to the Audi. Things getting very, very congested here behind the BMW. Marcel Frohlen, he's got Emerson Luciani on his tail, and coming fast also are Tony Santa Clara in the Mustang and Orlando Telhero in the Mercedes AMG. And I would not be surprised if Luis Hinojos, who is a little further down there in the Corvette, could maybe catch on to the back end of this as well. We'll see. Luciani looking to the inside again. He's looked here before. Can he make it done? Santa Clara's going for it as well. And the BMW, I think, is going to lose out on 2 spots here. Little contact between Santa Clara and Frohlen. Santa Clara, though, is going around the outside. Frohlen trying to go down the inside, trying to hold the position. Can he do it? It's playing into the hands of Emerson Luciani, who can disappear a little bit down the field there. Now in 12th position. Frohlen indeed will maintain against Santa Clara. I think Santa Clara could have pushed that a little bit more, though. And in the background there is Orlando Telhero in the Mercedes AMG. He's going down the inside of the Mustang! Cannot get it done at this time. And oh, it's a terrible mistake by Telhero. He's off the track. Car appears to be actually intact, but he will lose that 15th position to Hinojos into 15th there in the Callaway C7 Corvette. Further back, Vlad Tahara on the tail of Karel Vega. Vega has recently taken that spot. In the background, you can see Travis Wallace. These guys are towards the tail end of the field, but are in their own right very quick drivers. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe get up a little further. Riz Gons has gone a little stagnant lately. He's on the tail of Nelson Sheik, trying to get up into 7th position. Gons' last lap was a 56.439, which was the fastest of anyone on the track. So he has got the pace, got the hot hand now that he's gotten clear of some slower cars, and is looking to make his way up further into the field. Does not own the fastest lap of the race, though. That is still a 56.23 by race leader Mike Stoppmill. Approaching the halfway mark at this point. Riz Gons on the tail of Nelson Sheik. He's been coming back after a disastrous start that the pole sitter had. He's up to 8th place. 7th is calling. I don't know if a race win is really possible. Mike Stoppmill quite a ways ahead. Alex Fernandez, Joao Castanejera. I believe that will be the podium, barring some exceedingly large difficulties. Those three have had a fantastic run here. And in the background, Tony Santa Clara is putting a lot of pressure on Marcel Frohlen, and indeed has gotten the Mustang past the BMW. No contact! Frohlen getting a little bit dirty maybe there, or maybe Santa Clara dragged it down the inside, but the retaining of 13th goes to the BMW for the time being. Riz Gons on the tail of Nelson Sheik, looking to get past the Brazilian driver, the top Audi versus the top Callaway in the field. By the way, Mercedes AMGs 2nd through to 6th position. A fantastic race for the Mercedes brand. Tony Santa Clara still trying to get through. Hinojos is right on the tail of this, and not far away is Orlando Telhero as well. Riz Gons putting the pressure on, well, letting up the pressure a little bit there by Nelson Sheik as he got a little bit wide there in the corner. Unable to keep the pressure on for the time being. is Luis Hinojos, who is still on the tail of Tony Santa Clara. Santa Clara on the tail of Marcel Frohlen, has been for some time. He's gotten up past him a couple times, unable to hold it though. And there in the background is the Zach Speed Mercedes. Orlando Telhero still in the mix there. Paul Riccobeni, by the way, still running without a front end by the looks of it. Still in 19th position, so what do I know about fixing the damage of the car? But he is losing ground to Paulo Otoni, who is up ahead of him, and losing ground to the car behind him in Luis Souza. Although, just as I say that, looks like Souza may have made a slight mistake and dropped back. Meantime, it is Emerson Luciani, who's another one trying to make a recovery from a bad opening lap. He is looking to get here 11th place off of Giancarlo Croce, and will indeed into 11th position over the Porsche driver. Porsche having a bit of a rough time here. Nelson Sheik making a move there on Leo Barcelos. It looks like Riz Gons would like to follow him through. Barcelos' race has turned pretty bad lately. Was running pretty comfortably in 4th place for some time. Now down to 7th, and I think will shortly be down to 8th position, though, when Riz Gons gets past him there in the RWT Callaway C7 Corvette, as he's looking to get around the Mercedes AMG of the Brazilian driver Leo Barcelos. Up ahead of them is Nelson Sheik in the top Audi. Rounding out the top 10, we have Ishmael Montoya and Gerardo Del Valle. Then it is Emerson Luciani, who's charging through the grid with Gianluca Croce, Tony Santa Clara, Marcel Frohlen. This is the battle we're watching right here. Luis Hinojos is in 14th or 15th place there, along with Orlando Telhero. They are in close proximity to this battle. Luis de Gomes, Paulo Otani, Paul Riccobeni, Luis Souza, Nuno Miguel, who started dead last, is up into 21st place out of Carol Vega, Travis Walls, Vlad Tatara, Hanata Mendez Alves, and Eric Friesen are the still running cars. We have lost Hugo Alexandre and Nilso Porto from the race. Riz Gons putting the pressure on. By the way, Nelson Sheik has taken another spot. He's gotten past Diago Salipa. Riz Gons up into 7th place. So a late charge here. Well, not a late charge. We still have about half a race to go. But a charge here from Nelson Sheik into the top 5. And he seems to be very motivated by the fact that Riz Gons is coming very quickly for him. Gons, that last time around, did a 1:58.4 getting around traffic. The faster cars are running in the 1:57s right now. Mike Stockbill, by far the fastest car that lap, 1:57.144 up in the lead. So he's lengthening his advantage at the front. It is now up to about 2.5 seconds, and he is running away from Alex Fernandez right now. Fernandez seems to be unable to keep with him as the tires wear down. In the meantime, here is Luis Hinojos making the move on the car of Marcel Frohlen. Frohlen has been tough in defense, but he just seems to be unable to keep cars behind him at this point. He just doesn't have the pace. The BMW is not treating its tires very well, and he is going to lose a spot here, I think, to the Callaway C7 of Hinojos, unless he gets very, very defensive. Nope, I think that's it right there. That's the Callaway through. Next on the list will be the Mercedes of Orlando Telhera, who's looking to get through. Looking very soon. He's looking to go down the inside. Nothing doing there at the moment. Can they catch up to the Mustang of Tony Santa Clara up there in 13th place? I cannot emphasize this enough. A fantastic run for the Mustang driver. Riz Gons has got Diago Salipa in his crosshairs. Salipa has recently lost 5th place to Nelson Sheik, who is disappearing down the road. That Audi has got the rocket strapped to it right now and is really coming into its own. What did he do last lap? He did a 1:56.9, which is not his fast. That's very close to his fastest lap, actually, within a 10th of his fastest lap there. Nelson Sheik, he is on a roll. He is currently seemingly unplagued by the current problems. Alex Fernandez was, Fernandez 58.1. That was the fastest lap last lap, actually, was Nelson Sheik. Riz Gons looking to get around Diago Salipa. He's been cutting back through the field after being down in the 20s earlier in this race. He is in 7th now, and I think he's going to be in 6th really soon as he's down the inside of Salipa. Salipa lets him have the position, does not struggle against the much faster Callaway Corvette by the way of Riz Gons, who last lap was the fastest man on the track, doing a 57.131. Salipa was a pretty competitive though with that though. 57.167 and 57.165 for Nelson Sheik. So it'll be interesting to see if Riz Gons can catch up with Nelson Sheik there and make a challenge for a top 5 position for the pole sitter, who had a bad start and then got caught up in the carnage of that opening lap, which I cannot emphasize enough was a show and a half. If you did not tune in for that particular portion of this race, you missed something considerable. Though it wasn't necessarily the best driving in the world. Orlando Telhero has gotten past the BMW of Marcel Frohlen and is now into 15th position. Nothing else really happening at the moment, aside from Riz Gons on the hunt. And in fact, Tony Santa Clara has been caught by Luis Hinojosa. We were talking about what could they catch the Mustang. They have caught the Mustang. Telhero in the background, Frohlen's BMW, and then it is De Gomes in the Audi, the old school Audi, if I'm not mistaken. That is the Ultra, running in 17th position. Hinojosa putting the pressure on the Mustang, and I have to plug in my headset, so off the microphone for a moment here. Was away. Hinojosa has gotten alongside Santa Clara in the background. Frohlen's trying to come back at Telhero. We have not seen Frohlen successfully come back at someone yet. So here's hoping that he can do something about it. Marcel Frohlen, currently the only BMW in the field, looking to the inside of the Mercedes. Nothing doing there. Mercedes has been the dominant brand here today. That has not stopped. That has not been a great thing, though. They are the most common car, but they've got a couple near the back of the pack as well. Emerson Luciani is pulled up onto Gerardo Del Vea. He's looking to make his way through in the Ost Motorsports colored number 44 Audi, trying to make his way through the lovely car of the Oust team. Emerson Luciani trying to get through there. Both guys seem to lose a little bit of traction there. Last time around, these two were about 0.8 of a second. Luciani was 0.8 of a second faster than Gerardo Del Vea. I think it's just a matter of time when you've got almost a second in delta time between the Audi and the Mercedes at this point in the race. The Audis are really coming into their own. Speaking of coming into their own, Luis Hinojosa has been on the charge pretty much all day long. He's made it up to 14th place and is now on the tail of Tony Santa Clara, who's had a fantastic race in that Mustang. But you got to wonder how good the tires on that Mustang are at this point. We have 23 minutes remaining in this race. And the Callaway C7 wants to get through now, wants to make the move, get the job done. He's around the outside. Can he get it done? He will. Hinojosa past Santa Clara. Gerardo Del Vea has lost the spot to Emerson Luciani. As I predicted, Luciani up into the top 10 positions there. In the background, you can still see Gian Claudio Croce, who will be next up on Hinojosa's hit list, I think. Tony Santa Clara is not giving up, though. The Mustang wants back at that Callaway. And in the background, Orlando Telhero is absolutely licking his chops at the possibility of getting a position there. Looks like we've had a mistake from Luis de Gomes at some point. He's dropped back to 18th position, losing a spot to Paulo Otani. Next up on the list there would be Paul Riccobeni in the heavily damaged Corvette Z06. Tony Santa Clara looking for a way around. Orlando Telhero, he would also love a way around. Will one of these guys get their wish right now at the front of the pack? Mike Stoppmill has now built a 5.2 second lead and is lapping about a half second faster than Alex Hernandez. I think that gap will continue to grow as time goes on. Looking at the gap between Riz Gons, and there's Carlos Vega. He is looking to get past Nuno Miguel, and indeed will successfully do it. Carlos Vega up into 21st position after qualifying on the front row. It's been a rough time for Carlos Vega in this race. Meantime, Telhero getting very intrigued, getting past the car with Tony Santa Clara. Santa Clara is under amazing pressure right now. Telhero trying to out-drag the Mustang to the next corner. That's generally not how you get past the Mustang, though. It is an absolute beast in a straight line and will continue to hold on to 14th position for the time being. Luis de Gomes in the pit lane, actually, so he suffered some damage at some point and has dropped back, way back, so I'm not sure what happened there. Didn't see him reading with any damage, but he may have had something minor that was troubling the car. Marcel Fraulen on the tail of Orlando Telhero, trying to get back into the top 15. Fraulen's had a bad taste of luck so late in this race. Down to 16th place for a guy who was running relatively solidly in the low-end top 10 for a long time. But he's just been a bit of a pylon for a lot of these guys, a rolling chicane almost that has been passed by a number of cars so far this race. De Gomes rejoins the track in last place, and Eric Friesen's putting a lot of pressure on Mendez Alves down there in 24th position. Marcel Fraulen still putting the pressure on Orlando Telhero, trying to find a way around. Mike Stoppmill's lead at the front has grown to over 6 seconds as he continues to race hard. A full 1.5 seconds faster than Alex Fernandez that lap. It is getting concerning for Alex Fernandez at this point that he's going to have to worry more about João Castanheira, who's running at a much more comparable pace. Castanheira was only 2/10 off of the Stoppmill, so I think Fernandez is feeling the pressure. Oh, beautiful switch back there by Telhero, but it's not going to be enough to get around Tony Santa Clara at this time. The Mustang is still holding strong in 14th position, having a fantastic race. Riz Gons has caught Nelson Sheik. It's down to about a half second between the two. Can he make short work of Sheik and get into the top 10? What were the break spaces last lap? Gons 7/10 faster than Sheik. I think we may see a change of position there very shortly. Hino Haas is now up on the back of Croce there for 12th position as well. Rizgon's fastest man on the track last time around, 57 flat. Not rivaling the fastest lap of the race of 56.2, but definitely the man with the speed right now. Gons looking to get around Nelson Sheik, putting the pressure on there, and 4th place Ronnie Hikarth is not far up the road, so I think 4th place still is in the cards here for Riz Gons. He's got 17 minutes to make those 2 spots. I think anything beyond that, though, is going to be a tough ask. Hikarth is almost 10 seconds behind João Castanheira, and then it's Alex Fernandez further up the road, and of course Mike Stoppmill. Oh, a little bit more contact between Santa Clara and Telhero. There's a lot of paint between these 2 cars being changed. Telhero is the faster guy. You feel like he's got the pace advantage. A little tap in the bumper there of him. And, oh, in the background, Marcel Frolin is off the track. Is he damaged? He is. Frohlin has maybe pitched away his race. He's going to allow Polo Otani, Paul Riccobene, Carlo Vega, Luis Salza, Travis, and Frohlin is out of the race. That is the end of the day for the lone BMW. Diogo Solipa moving up the inside of Leo Barcelos here in a battle for 7th position at the moment between the two Mercedes drivers. Barcelos has had a bit of an inconsistent day, I think it would be fair to say. We've lost the third car for the race. Frohlin is out. Telhero still in a tight battle with Santa Clara. Looks like there was some more contact there into turn 1. Meantime, it looks like Riz Gons made a bit of a mistake there as he has dropped well off the back of Nelson Sheik. Back to what has been my battle of the race, Tony Santa Clara versus Orlando Telhero over 14th position. These two have been going at it. They have banged around with each other plenty, and the stunning thing, the absolute stunning thing to me, is that it was Marcel Frohlin, the car behind them, that went off the track and hit the wall. Like, with the amount of contact these two have had to avoid any significant damage to their cars, and to see that BMW end up parking itself in the wall, it was just shows the cruel nature sometimes that racing has. That you have such a clean race throughout the whole thing, and then one mistake can definitely end it for you, while other people can have multiple moments and somehow bring the car back every time. Travis Wallace getting down the inside of the Porsche of Luis Souza for 19th position. Travis Wallace had a pretty quiet race. I was admittedly expecting more from the American driver. Meantime, Luis de Gomes is coming back through the grid. He's up to 23rd after his pit stop, getting around Hanada Mendez Alves. Eric Friesen also in the mix there. He's recently been passed by de Gomes as well. I think he'll get past Mendez Alves at some point there. Santa Clara getting a little bit out of shape there. Telhero unable to get alongside, though, and force the issue. This battle will continue, and I feel like it may continue down to the wire. As we check in with Emerson Luciani, who is hunting down Ishmael Montoya for 9th place there. Audi versus Mercedes. Emerson Luciani on tight with the 9th place car of Ismael Montoya looking to get around there. In the background, you can see Gerardo Del Valle back there in 11th position in the Mercedes. And of course, sorry for the yawn, back to Telhero versus Santa Clara. Does Telhero finally have the move made? It's going to be Santa Clara on the inside into the next turn, though, and that Mustang is going to retain its position against the Mercedes. Emerson Luciani on the tail of Ismael Montoya. This is one of the major battles we got going on right now. Riz Gons is now up on the tail of Nelson Sheik, getting very, very close. They are catching up to Hani Picard as well. And of course, Telhero versus Santa Clara. I don't know if this is ever going to end. Vlad Tatara is up on the tail of Luis Souza at this point. He may be looking to make a move there, the Ukrainian driver. And contact between Santa Clara and Telhero. Looks like both of them coming off the worst on that one. Santa Clara will retain the position. Down to the last third of the race here. 10 minutes to go here at the Nürburgring, opening round of the GT3 Intercontinental Series. Leading the way, Mike Stoppmill. It's been a pretty comfortable race for him. He's up about 8 seconds over Alex Fernandez. João Castanheira is in 3rd position, followed by Hani Picard, Nelson Sheik, Riz Gons, Diago Solipa, Leon Barcelos, Ismael Montoya, and Emerson Luciani, who we ride with right now as he is trying to claim a spot here from Ismael Montoya. We have seen some fantastic battles here today, most notably Tony Santa Clara versus Orlando Telhero. We have seen a trade just come from behind from pole sitter Riz Gons, who had some problems at the start of the race and has come through back to 6th position. Fantastic race by him. We have seen a frontless Corvette continue to run on the track and back in its 18th place. That is Paul Riccobetti. He's lost a spot to Carol Vega, though. We have seen some interesting things. We've seen some penalties, unfortunately. We've seen some sloppy driving as well. We've seen it all here, but Riz Gons is on the tail of Nelson Sheik, looking to get past the Audi lead car. It's been a very solid day for Mercedes, but they seem to have been dropping back here later in the race. You can see that with Montoya dropping back, Del Valle dropping back, Telhero's continued issues trying to get a pass done. Riz Gons looking to the outside there. Looks like he got it done against Nelson Sheik. Emerson Luciani looking to get the similar done here on Ismael Montoya. He has not gotten through, though, but into the top 5 goes Riz Gons for the first time since the opening lap. So the pole sitter is back on the charge. Nelson Sheik will next have to defend possibly against Diego Solipa, and in fact Solipa is through, so I think there may be a problem or an off for Nelson Sheik. He has dropped down to 7th position. Still a very solid run for him. He's had a bit of a troubled day as well. It looks like he's back up to pace now, but it definitely looks like there was a problem between him and Riz Gons, perhaps, in the battle for position there. Fastest lap last time around was Mike Stoppmill, who's pulling further in the distance. He put up a 57.7, which was, again, a full second faster than Alex Fernandez. So absolutely showing him who's boss right now at the front of the pack. I don't know if anyone can catch the Dutchman in the time we have remaining, but he will have to remain on the track and consistent in order to take the win. A major mistake could end his race. We saw that with, of course, Marcel Fraulen earlier on in the race. Nelson Sheik on the tail of Diago Solipa, looking to get back into 6th position, which he briefly held after losing 5th to Riz Gons. Gons is disappearing up the road, absolutely almost 10 seconds ahead of Solipa. And on the tail of Hani Picard, I think that will come down at some point. See another fight. Looks like Orlando Telhero is back at it with Tony Santa Clara, trying to find a way around the Mustang driver. Emerson Luciani on the tail of Ismael Montoya. He's not been able to find a way around despite being the obviously faster car. Fantastic defensive work being done right now by the Spanish driver in the Mercedes. Bit of a weird moment there, a little bit of lost traction. Can Luciani find his way around? He's on the inside heading into turn 1. Can he get the job done? He has got a nose in front briefly there, but he is at a horsepower disadvantage to the Mercedes. Can he get around? Nelson Sheik on the tail as well. Luciani has indeed gotten the spot. I'm a little disappointed that that took us away from that fight there. But Ismael Montoya might be able to come back at him. Perhaps he does have that horsepower advantage. We're talking about the Mercedes. Very, very fast straight line. Very big, powerful car. The Audi, one of the weaker cars in terms of straight line pace in the field here today. But that has not stopped it from having a pretty solid day with Nelson Cheek and Emerson Luciani into the top 10. And it's been a pretty good race actually from Paulo Otani. You're not going to really think that with a 16th place position, but he's been really consistent in making his way through. It's unfortunate that Vlad Tatara in the Audi has unfortunately had a bit of a rocky race, and he's down in 20th position right now. .25 cars still running. Mike Stompmill down to the last place car of Nuno Miguel at the moment. We've lost Frolin, Alexandre, and Porto. Riz Gons is all over the back end now of Hani Hickarth. Hani Hickarth's been in 4th place for a real long time. They're coming up to, I believe that is lap traffic in front of them. I believe that is the car of Hanada Mendez Alves, who is up ahead there in the Mercedes. That is the 24th place car, looking to fall down a lap, perhaps. Indeed, I am correct. He is. They have already lapped Nuno Miguel in his Mercedes as well. That is Miguel in the background there in the Lincoln Park liveried Mercedes, going very wide there off the track. This battle just will not end. Orlando Telhero all over the back end of Tony Santa Clara. They really have nothing else to fight for. They're pretty far back of Giancarlo Croce, pretty far ahead of Paulo Otoni, who's about 13 seconds back. And this more recently started battle, Riz Gons versus Hani Hickarth. Battling over 4th place here between the Brazilian and the Canadian. The car showing the power advantage he has over the Callaway Corvette, though. Last lap, invalid for Hickarth, so he cut the track at some point of 58.5. For Riz Gons, which was about a 10th off of the fastest lap last time around, which belonged to Emerson Luciani at a 58.4. The car still under pressure from Riz Gons. Can Gons get the job done? Further back, it is Telhero, of course, battling with Santa Clara. That's pretty much a given at this point. Nelson Cheek is on the tail of Diego Solipa as well. Wrapped traffic coming into play here. That is ahead of them. Luis Souza and Johanna Mendez Alves, as we talked about. Those are lap cars, the Porsche and the green and yellow Mercedes. So they will be under blue flags and must get out of the way. Riz Gons is got a much tighter line into turn 1, but that's going to cost him turn 2. Further back, it is still Telhero versus Santa Clara. They are having a fantastic battle, but they've had a lot of screen time. So I'm inclined to give it to Hani Hickarth right now. And Riz Gons. Hickarth has had an under-the-radar, very solid race, running in 4th position. Hasn't been in the fights nearly as much, but he's been consistent, keeping it up. And they are coming up to a battle between Mendez Alves and Souza. How is that going to affect this? Because you know when you're under blue flag, yes, you do have to get out of the way. But it has to be said, you're fighting with someone. You don't want to lose the ground. And that can make this very, very interesting very, very shortly. So we're getting 2 battles for the price of 1 right now. Mercedes defending against Callaway. Mercedes attacking Porsche. What will the answer be? This time is running down here. In fact, we may be on the last lap here. I'm not sure where Mike's stopping is. Let me have a look at the track. appears that the track map is unfortunately not working right now, so I'm uncertain if this is the last lap or the second to last lap. Mendez Alves is going down the inside of Souza. He wants to make that move before he has to give way for the blue flag. Blue flags are out. What is going to happen here? 4 cars, 2 on the same lap, 2 battling. Mendez gives way. Souza gives way. Good job by both drivers to get out of the way and respect the blue flags and continue their battle. That is a minor battle over 23rd position, but it is incredibly important to those drivers. Up ahead, there is a battle going on between Eric... actually, I think that's Eric Friesen just getting lapped by Castanejera more than anything else. Ronnie Hicard still holding on against Riz Gons. Riz Gons looking for 4th place still. They've caught up to Castanejera a fair bit, actually, through this. So Castanejera has not had a great time making his way through the lap traffic, unfortunately. We continue to follow this battle down to the line, though. This is the final lap, I do believe. Right now, I don't think that Mike Stoffel will be able to get to another lap. They're on lap 31 at this point. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be the final lap of the race here, as they are battling it out. Here, Riz Gons, the pole sitter, a horrendous problem for him in lap 1, trying to get past Hani Akarth here for 4th position. In the background, we actually missed Mendez Alves getting past Souza. Congratulations to Mendez Alves, a fantastic job by him to get up into 13th position right there. Other battles, of course, Telhero, Santa Clara battle, though actually that seems to have been terminated. Telhero is now but 2.5 seconds behind Santa Clara, 3.5 seconds, so he's had at some point an off, unfortunately. So it looks like Santa Clara is going to take home 15th position. Let's have a look at how this is going. At the front, here is your winner, Mike Stoppbill, coming around to complete the final lap on the tail of, I believe that is Vlad Tatara, who will finish on the lead lap as well. But the winner, Mike Stoppbill, Trofeo Motorsports, the Chevrolet, the old school Corvette Z06 ahead of Alex Fernandez in the background. Castanejera will finish in 3rd place. Who will it be in 4th, though? Will it be Hicarth or Gons? It will be Hicarth who takes the position there. Then it will be Solipa, Nelson Sheik, Barcelos. Montoya is on the tail of Emerson Luciani, but I don't think he'll be able to get around it. I believe a 9th place will go to Emerson Luciani ahead of Ismael Montoya, who will round off the top 10 ahead of Gerardo Delvale, who's kind of on his own. Luis Hinojos is on his own. Giancarlo Croce, 13th place. Tony Santa Clara giving us a fantastic show. Orlando Telhero, 15th. Carol Vega climbing back to 16th position ahead of Paolo Otani. Paul Riccobeni still with the damaged car. Travis Wallace, Vlad Tatara, those are your leads. Lap finishers. Luis Souza, Nino Miguel also finishing. And here's the wreck of Paul Riccobeni's car. I just have to re-emphasize the damage that this Z06 took. Did not pit to get help for it. I mean, it kind of worked out for him. He actually did not plummet like I thought he was. I thought he would plummet like a rock, but, you know, for a guy who ran in the top 5, I'm not sure 18th is going to be much of a consolation prize at this point as he comes across the line behind him. Travis Wallace under pressure from Vlad Tatara. We'll see if he can get around. The answer to that would be no. Travis with a much better drive through the final corner, and I believe that is the last of the cars finishing the race. There is the confirmation. Mike Stoppmill wins the race, including fastest lap over Alex Fernandez, João Castanejera, Hadi Hicarth, Riz Gons, Thiago Solipa, Nelson Sheik, Leo Barcelos, Emerson Luciani, Ismael Montoya. Those are your top 10. I thought a standout performance by the Mustang driver, Tony Santa Clara, down in 14th position, taking a car that isn't traditionally thought of as a top-end BOP, and had a fantastic fight with 15th place Orlando Telhero. We, of course, lost from this race a couple of cars down at the back there, including Marcel Frolin, Hugo Alexandre, and Nilson Porto, who had some problems with the stewards and then was unable to finish the race. that is the race here, opening round for Nürburgring for the Intercontinental GT3 Championship. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Next time I will be joined by Ben Davis, and hopefully that will increase the enjoyment that we get out of this particular exercise, having a second man in the commentary booth, and perhaps I'll be less dehydrated by the end of the race. So enjoy your day, enjoy the green flags, try to avoid the yellow flags, and don't get the black flag. We'll see you next time.